For those of you who know me from Facebook, I have been preaching this message since 2022, the end of 2022. I got COVID in 2020. For 2 to 3 years, I was not even half alive. I still don't know how I made it through all of this, but I did because God was with me and the angels of God surrounded me. That's when I had the first miracle, which was a cross in my fence for about 7 days. I was lying in bed 90% of the time, and when I looked out of my window, there was a beautiful cross in my fence, and I'll never forget that. And that was the beginning. It disappeared then, and I know that at that time too, that the angels of God through Jesus were helping me to stay alive, and they were also helping me that my dogs had everything they needed, because I had a hard time even going to the bathroom. But I would never give up my dogs because they're my life. And for those of you who know my story, I live alone in a foreign country. No family, no friends. So God took over completely up until this day. And the reason for this message is that after about 2.5 years, God put all of his thoughts, his messages, and visions in turbo speed inside of my brain. I was getting visions like when the cross was struck of Jesus, which stands, I'm not quite sure now because I wrote this all down, but it was, I think in South America, there's a huge cross of Jesus Christ. And the morning before it happened, God gave me a vision, and I wrote it down, and I sent myself an an email so that I wouldn't forget that the cross of Jesus Christ would be struck in the head by lightning. And later that day, or put it this way, in the evening, South America time, it happened. And I would get so many visions. It was like non-stop. This was around 2023. And I knew that God was trying to reach me and show me these things that are happening. I don't know why. Maybe just as proof to myself that he is real. And miracle after miracle, even though those things weren't miracles, they were visions, but then miracles started happening, which are undeniably from God. Because just in this time, like most of you who know me know, I could not walk. I had a walking cane. I was very disabled. And I always heard God's words, you will be healthier than you ever were. But now, basically, what I'm seeing and believing is that Jesus Christ, this is hard for me to say because I have children that are still not young, no, not young at all, 30 and under. But I honestly and sincerely and humbly believe Jesus Christ is around the corner, because there have never been so many testimonies from people from any age, especially children at this time, saying that they're seeing Jesus and Jesus is coming back. Concerning to me is also the many people who are saying that he's coming back this year. There are so many testimonies out there that are saying Jesus Christ is coming back around September. And I can't wrap my head around that yet because most of my family, except my mother, who's Catholic, are not saved. And it just tears me apart to know this, even though I looked in the Bible and I listened to the minds of many, because there's not explicitly a statement about if our loved ones who are not saved don't go to heaven, will we know this? Now, I don't personally believe so, because God is a God of love, and He would not want painful memories or painful emotions in heaven, in His kingdom. But now, being on earth, even the thought of not having my 4 dogs around me tears me up inside. So I try just to pray about this. But one thing I do know is Jesus is coming back in my generation, my lifetime. One of the first things God showed me when I was after COVID and learning everything about Him. Like I said, I was in a turbo intense schooling of His life, Jesus Christ, and all of the things. I don't think many people in the world, I mean, from my opinion, have seen everything I have seen that Christ has showed me. And one of the things, the very first things I think He showed me was a man named Ron Wyatt who found the Ark of Noah in Turkey. You should Google this, definitely. I encourage you to Google this. And his story about the Ark of the Covenant and many things. And another man was Mark Woodman. These are the 2 people that God showed me. And after that, I was, and I still am to this day, so personally convinced that this is the absolute truth. And the words from Ron Wyatt were, before he died, because he did die, I think it's now almost 20 years, that in this generation, Jesus is coming back. But back then there were not wars and all of the things that are going on. And now we have every single sign in Revelations coming true. The only thing which is a little confusing for me is the beast system is not implemented yet. So I don't know how far Revelations looks into what is the beast system. Is it digital currency? Are we at that point? Well, I know that worldwide they're trying to make everything digital, no question. But that would not correspond to all the people saying that the world is ending in September. But again, God or Jesus Christ said that there is not a date for His return. What I personally know and what God showed me in 2023 is AI is not a part of His system. AI is not a part of God. It's like back in the days where the Nephilim took over the earth. Well, they didn't take, well, yeah, I guess they did. But God would not tolerate that and destroyed the earth. And we're at that point again where I don't even like being on Facebook anymore, because every second thing is only an ad. I hardly see posts from friends, only 1 or 2. And I have thousands of friends, but I never see posts anymore. Everything is AI, regardless of where you turn or what you do. Everything is AI. So God's not going to let this happen and go on. And because AI is going so fast, and this man or President Donald Trump is trying to build the biggest AI center in the United States, I don't know about the rest of the world. I know God's not going to let it happen. And that's why I know that Jesus is coming in our generation. And for those of you who do not believe, you should. It's high time. I can't keep preaching to my family or my friends anymore because I've been preaching nonstop every day since 2023. But I do believe it's longer than that, because even when I was very, very sick and in bed most of the time, I kept writing and writing and writing and writing on Facebook, wherever I could, in my groups, in my websites. But now's the time where I feel like God's saying, it's enough. They know you've done all you could. And it's the truth. I have done all I could. There's not more that I could add, except for there's going to be so much more madness before the return of Jesus, but not because he hates us. He loves us so much. He's trying to wake all the people up who do not believe in him and do not accept him as Savior. Muslims worldwide are turning to Jesus because they're having dreams. It's so obvious Jesus wants everyone to accept him and go into his kingdom, because this is what God sent Jesus Christ to earth for. That was his mission. His goal was to unite us with him. Excuse me, I have a cough again this morning. It's very early here where I am recording this. But listen, friend. Jesus Christ is real as the hand or the foot on your body. It's not fictitious. It's the truth. And I know this personally because I have seen, heard, felt, and lived in his presence daily ever since I got COVID in 2020. Because there was not one day for years where I did not think I would die and it would be my last day. But Jesus Christ helped me, who lives alone in a foreign country with 4 dogs, no family, no friends, only one neighbor who helps me every now and then. But she's also 73. So can you imagine the faith that I must have to survive? And I believe that God showed me these things and told me these things so somebody, and if it's just one person out there, hears me. You need to know this. You need to be prepared. You need to have oil in your lamp. In the words of Jesus from the Bible, this world was never meant to be our home. How could you live in a home with daily death, daily killing, animals eating each other, and all the atrocities happening? Even a kindergarten child knows this is not right. It's wrong. If you look at kindergarten children, they'll cry because they don't want to eat what they love. They don't want to eat the animals being slaughtered or killed, because this was never in God's plan. This is Satan. All of this is Satan. That's one of the first things God showed me. One of the first things God showed me was the corruption, and all of this is under the curse of Satan. That's why our earth is like it is. God's earth was beautiful, perfect. There was no death, suffering, killing, or rotting. Alone, when you look into your garden, if you have one, everything rots, including us. We rot and we die. Not God's plan, but Satan's. And that's proof enough to see we don't live where our home is. And that's why all of us are always looking for an answer to where we come from. But God showed me the answer, and He is the answer. So I'm sending you this very long message today so that you know Jesus Christ is returning, and not someday, but very, very, very soon. And I know it's going to be in our lifetime, unless you're extremely old. Maybe you won't make it, but all of us will. And the most important thing I need to tell you is do not be deceived. Because over and over and over, Jesus always said, when He returns, there will be so much confusion and so many lies. And He also states that so many pastors are preaching the wrong message. So please, take it to the Lord, pray about it, and do not be deceived.